This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/audio.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. That's me, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting if you visit me at OppermanInvestigations@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, a nice short one. Okay, with some bullet points. I don't need a whole book. Okay, I don't need an email saying, hey, Ed, call me back. No, not getting a call back. Tell me what's going on, what you need, in short bullet points, okay, and I'll get back to you. Promise. Okay, If you're a P. Diddy victim, get a hold of me, man. Look for some of those cases to retire on. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Hoffman. You could find us on Patreon. All the great content on Patreon, all the new stuff we put up there. As a matter of fact, with that brand new motion filed, the unsealed Jack Smith vote motion, where he responds to the Supreme Court ruling that Mr. Trump is allowed to commit any crimes he would like. Just as long as he's president. As long as the president can go do it, kill SEAL Team 6, go kill people, do whatever you want, as long as you're president. And this is part of your presidential duties. You can just go out and rape, pillage, and murder. That's where we are in 2024. In the United States of America, the founding fathers rolling over in their graves. Okay, and those graves underneath what was his name? Who's the guy? Not Thomas Edison. The other guy, the one with the kite and the key who invented electricity. Anyway, they found all those bodies under his house. I forget the damn guy's name. Getting old. Brain stops working. Go to our Patreon. Who's that guy in the chat room? Who am I talking about? Do we put the key on the kite and he found electricity, got struck by lightning? The guy who in the Hellfire Club wasn't president. One of the founding fathers. Very respected inventor. And they found all these dead bodies of children, skeletons under his house. He says, he must have been doing medical experiments. I'll have to figure that out. Let me Google this, man. I'm not going to be able to get to sleep tonight. Let's see. Key. Kite. See a picture of the man here? I'm getting to it. Ben Franklin. That's who I'm talking about. Good old Ben Franklin. I don't know why I was talking about Ben Franklin. Okay. Things are not going so well. The Opperman Report tonight. Okay, go to Patreon. I don't have anything on there about Ben Franklin, I don't think, but what I do have is Franklin. But what I do have is the unsealed not indictment, this unsealed motion for Jack Smith responding to the Supreme Court ruling that Trump could do whatever he wants, including bodies under his house if he wants to. Now, if you read the whole motion, it's not a new indictment. It's a motion in support of his previous indictments. He lays out a lot of stuff, man. He lays out a lot of the thorough stuff about Trump. Knew he was gonna lose, knew he lost, and they said, "Hey, go, Brent, hey, create violence. We're gonna try this. It was calling his own lawyers, these crackpot lawyers, the Star Wars bar, from that scene in Star Wars where those wacky people were in that bar. As a matter of fact, one of those Star Wars bar's patrons this week just blocked me, Jenna Ellis, on Twitter. And we've gotten along very well. We even had some private messages back and forth that was friendly advice. I don't know what to tell, But she got a little fed up with me. She didn't like the Star Wars bar jokes, clearly. And I had made a remark, too, about how she's voting for the person she's testifying against. And I guess the last straw was when I said that she would call someone a grifter. And I says, yeah, that's what a sloppy grift that is. What they should do is raise $2 million for a defense fund and then plead guilty. And that was it. She no more Jen Ellis. The romance is over. Okay, the honeymoon is over. With Jen Ellis and Ed Opperman. And with Rudy Giuliani, too, another one of Trump's Star Wars lawyers, also has me blocked on Twitter. Now, originally with him, he blocked me because he was talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, and him and Bernie Kerik were going back and forth saying that there was child pornography on the Hunter Biden laptop. And they had seen it. They had knowledge of this. So I said to them, I says, hey, if you guys have knowledge of child pornography on that laptop and you're trading this information around, you're trading trafficking in child pornography. And not even an hour later, they announced, so we've just turned this over to the state police. Okay, is what they did. And then he blocked me right after that. And I've known Rudy Giuliani since the 80s, man. We used to hang out with Bo Dietl. And Jackie Mason and Raoul Felder over there at the Doral Inn across the street from the Waldorf Astoria. And that in those days, I had known Rudy back since when he was working for the SDNY, and we were doing all his defense cases against the commission trial and the Persico trial and stuff. And he was prosecuting all those cases, along with Michael Chertoff, who later on became Director of Homeland Security. See, Rudy, all those guys, Rudy Giuliani put them in place, man. So he has nothing to worry about SDNY ever coming after him. Seems like Joe DeGenova has the same deal, too, that they can just get away with murder. And back in those days, I was more enamored by Raoul Felder, who was a famous divorce attorney in New York City, who was a sort of a rabbi to Bo and to Rudy and stuff like that, and he helped Rudy with his campaign. And I was way more impressed with him. I was starstruck by him, I'll be honest with you, man, as a young PI in New York. Raoul Felder, man, this guy was legendary and paid well. And you didn't have to chase him around and get paid. Not that I did any work for him, but that's just how things went. Go to Spreaker.com, 8 p.m. each Friday night. That's where you find my live show that I'm doing for you right now. I don't know what we're going to do. They're going to end this live show possibility, this feature, in January 1st. So I don't know how I'm going to do a live show, perhaps on Patreon, do it some way through Patreon. I know there's a way to broadcast live there. But I don't know what to do, to tell you the truth. Maybe I'll do it live just to the Patreon members, and then I'll play it on Spreaker afterward. I'll probably make more money from it, because when you do it live, it doesn't play those Spreaker ads. Anyway, let's get on. I got a big show today. Let's see what we're doing here. Last week's show about the 11-year anniversary and 11 Years a Slave was so incredibly popular. That's probably the most popular show I've done in 11 years. The numbers were the highest. I got the most response, positive response. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's a dream. Maybe I'm having a dream. But I got nothing but positive response from that. And one of the most common things was, Ed, I had no idea you were involved in so much stuff. And yeah, that wasn't even scratching the surface. I'm going to try and do another show tonight. And this isn't even going to scratch the surface of all the stuff I've been involved in the past 11 years. And even before the show, forget it. So what are you going to do? No one pays attention. Coming up right after this, I got a show with Mr. Fishman. What's his first name here? I think it's John. John Fishman. Is it John Fishman? Is it John Fishman? Fishman. We'll never know. Adam Fishman, who worked for the RFK Jr. campaign. And it just came out. And you probably missed this because there's so much news going on with hurricanes and all this kind of stuff like that. By the way, man, I was so sick this week. I lost about 15, 20 pounds this week. Because I had gotten exposed, I suppose, to some of that hurricane flood water. So people don't understand. That's sewage water. That's storm drain water that comes up. And there's all kind of disgusting stuff in that water. That water's filthy and it smells, man. Like, you see these people playing in that water. I don't know what the hell they're thinking, man, or what kind of constitution they have. Because I got exposed to something in that water, man. I was just diarrhea and throwing up, man. I'm throwing up so... I can't even... I should have took pictures of it, man. My whole bathroom is, like, splattered with vomit. I cleaned it up. I'm feeling better in the past couple of days. But, man, this week was brutal for me, man. I'm still exhausted. And so many nights this week, I was just awake all night long. Just trying to catch up sleep during the daytime, little naps and stuff. So that hurricane stuff is no joke, man. And there's still places down here in Florida, all the beach towns that near me, like Madeira Beach and Paso de Grille, and destroyed, man. Just 8-foot high piles of sand. All the hotels shut down, the motels, the bars and the restaurants, and even the roads were shut down for days. And even now, if you go down and the people look pointing guns at you like you're a looter. And I don't know what the hell DeSantis is doing. There's still a senior citizens home down there that has no electricity, but he's sending help to Georgia and North Carolina. So it looks like some kind of idiot sending troops to the container ships there. What an idiot. By the way, too, I've been through those towns in North Carolina, Castle Rock and Asherville and stuff like that. I've been through those towns. And those towns, even in good weather, in nice weather, some of those winding mountainous roads are shut down because of falling rocks and because of snow, you know. And then those towns are dirt poor, man. You drive around those towns, there's areas where it's all shanty towns, man, all trailer parks, like the other side of the tracks kind of stuff. And you see people walking around, clearly meth and heroin users, you know. And even in the nice parts of towns, we got the little antique stores and stuff like that, little diners, little shops. You can just see the opioid addiction in those towns is epidemic. You could just see it. You're sitting in a diner, you're looking around at people, you just see they're all on some kind of pills. You know, they're probably 90% prescribed, and the rest of the black market. But so those towns are poverty, man, to begin with. Those roads and stuff are treacherous. There's deer on those roads at night. There's bear out there in those roads and those woods and those forests and stuff. So people who think that, we want a bunch of amateurs running around up there helping people, you're out of your mind. We have word from our friend David Wheeler from American Muckrakers, who's been a guest on this show 3 or 4 times. I've worked with him off the air on several projects. And so this is a person I know professionally and personally. I trust his word. He lives in North Carolina, and he says the place is swarming with FEMA, like 700 FEMA agents. There's all kinds of utility poles and you know, those cherry pickers, you know, lined up coming to town to try and bring them back to life. So all this stuff you're hearing about, they're getting no help, and Kamala's doing nothing, and Biden's doing nothing. It's just a bunch of bunk, man. I got it firsthand from somebody I trust. Not these memes and crap you see on Twitter, which has just become a cesspool of right-wing conspiracy weirdo-ness, man. Where's my notes? Trying to note myself here. Let's see what I got there. Ooh, that's good news. Ooh, every now and then I get some good news. But don't worry, there's bad news coming. So first will be Mr. Fishman talking about RFK Jr. And I don't know if you heard this in the news. Yeah, I was getting to. Boy, I'm not focused tonight. It just came out, as a matter of fact, through David Wheeler, who discovered this from American Muckrakers. I was just talking about him. That RFK Jr.'s attorney received a $100,000 retainer shortly after RFK Jr. Endorsed Trump. Now, I don't think he sold his endorsement for as little as $100,000. And, of course, the attorney got to get a little bit of cut of that. So there must be some other... But it clearly, that indicates there was a payoff. And it probably went through other sources and channels, too, as well. Maybe some of those $100,000 watches made their way to RFK Jr. So we got Mr. Fishman on there. Then we have Janet Phelan comes back. She talks about her lawsuit that she filed against the CIA. It's a cease and desist, an injunction she filed against the CIA to stop harassing her. She's in exile in Mexico as it is now. And she describes some stuff that I wasn't aware of about her career and her life. The cause of her exile is that she's discovered these this dual system of pipes that carry water to people's homes and businesses. That there's a secondary pipes that she believes could contain dangerous adverse chemicals or agents in this secondary pipe that could be, I guess, directed to certain homes and directed away from certain homes. I don't know. So she sent me some more I had never heard this before. She sent me some more documentation afterwards. So those are the 2 shows we have tonight. Coming up next week, I got some big stuff for you. We got Greg Palast coming on the show, and we have this fellow who wrote this article. He's a young man about how ICE loaned these airplanes to Mexico, and somehow they became involved in drug smuggling. One of those operations. Whoa, whoops. Another U.S. agency there just caught up in some drug smuggling. That happens all the time. Oh, my goodness. I wish that would have been my excuse. Michelle Fiore from Las Vegas got convicted this week on federal wire fraud charges. She's very right wing. She was involved with those Bundy Ranch people, and she's considered like the Nevada's Trump. And she was friends with that Michael forget his name. Michael, the ex-cop who was in Vegas, he's the GOP chair now, who was also mixed up in the phony electors and stuff like that. So anyway, when me and Vic were really broke, we were struggling, doing odd jobs to pay for the custody litigation, she was very kind to us. And she referred me to people. She gave me work, little jobs and stuff like that. When the car registration wasn't paid, she made way for me to get around and helped us out a great deal, even though our politics could not be further from allies in any possible way. And she knew it and I knew it. We didn't argue with each other and debate about it. But very, very kind to me. Okay, and I think she's going to be, it's federal charges, man. I think she's going to be doing time. Because it's a point system. They don't like to get out of there too much. All right, so let's go through 11 Years a Slave. Go back to some of the Opperman Report content that you probably are not familiar with. It seems like so many people I communicate with on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that weren't aware of some of the shows and content and cases I've been involved with. One of them, a big one, was the case of the Millers. Now, this is way back in 2013. I started talking about the Millers. What happened was I was asked to moderate the governor's debate and the sheriff's debate, okay? Host and moderate it, okay, in Nevada that year. And they would have had me come back too, man. But I had a little beef with one of the women that was running it, and I didn't want to. She was complaining about she was complaining about we got into a fight over Octomom. Okay, Nadia Suleiman, who's a very nice woman, man, and totally misunderstood. Her whole story and her whole case is totally misunderstood. She's been taken advantage of by a lot of people. And a lot of the stories that went out there about her, negative stories, were for pay, for money. She got paid for those stories. It was business. And so I know the real Nadia. She's a very fragile woman, a very kind woman, a good-hearted woman. And anyway, that's what I got into the beef with that woman running the debates there. So these Millers, this couple, I forget where they were from, but they were involved in the Million Mask March, and then they were involved in Occupy Wall Street, which is kind of a leftist operation. But they sold all their possessions, and they came to Nevada to work on the campaign of Mr. Vanderbeek, who was running for governor. And you might remember I interviewed Gordon Martinez, who was running for sheriff, and they were part of that political party, the same one that Jesse Ventura runs, the Jesse Ventura party, I forget what it's called. And so they came out to Nevada to work on his campaign, and they wound up at Bundy Ranch. They were living in a motel in town, but they wound up moving up there to Bundy Ranch. And when they were up there, this guy was a felon in possession of firearms. People started looking at him sideways, and he stole some. Well, it was alleged that he stole some FLIR equipment, night vision equipment, went missing. And he was the guy who was responsible for the rumor that there was going to be a drone attack on the Bundy Ranch standoff. And that rumor is what caused the armed standoff within the standoff between the Oath Keepers and the 3 Percenters. He's the instigator of all that. So him and his wife, they were buskers, by the way, too, in downtown Las Vegas. And I know the guy they worked for, too. They worked for this real shady character down there who would rent you costumes to these young buskers. And then he would watch and see if you got a tip, and he would run over and take half the tip. It was like a pimp. I was pimping these people out on the street and taking their money. The second that money hit their pocket, it was the whole thing with this guy's outraged. That's a whole nother story by himself. We had to go to his house one time to help somebody out that this guy was taking advantage of. But anyway, so the Millers, they leave Bundy Ranch. They get chased out of there. They go back and live in this motel where they become police informants. They're informing on their neighbors that were drug dealers and all kind of situations going on there. And one day, as the story goes, they declare that the revolution has started. And they fill up a shopping cart full of weapons. And they walk 3 miles with this shopping cart full of weapons in broad daylight in the hot Las Vegas sun. 110 degrees. 3 miles takes a long time to walk 3 miles. Okay? About 45 takes about an hour, okay, to walk 3 miles. And they land at the Cici's Pizza. They walk in there, and somehow, as the story goes, they get a jump on these 2 on-duty Las Vegas police cops, right? Las Vegas Metro Police, that are sitting there eating pizza. Now, we don't see any video from inside the pizza place. We don't see any video from outside the pizza place. We see nothing. The story is that somehow they got to jump on these cops and they execute these cops. Okay? Now, if you have any experience with Las Vegas Metro Police Department, these are very arrogant, very obnoxious, hostile, violent cops. Okay? And they only socialize within themselves. Okay? When the cops would come to my daughter's, you know how you have parents' night at school? Not parents' night, but, parents, work, and you show up and you tell about what you do for a living at school. And all the parents, would be there, we're all going to do our little presentation. Oh, I'm a private investigator. Oh, look at my cases, Tiger Woods, haha, all this stuff. And all the parents are getting along and talking to each other, but the cops are standing over at the corner, only talking to each other. They don't want to talk to any of the parents. They're snarling at us. So that's the atmosphere with these Las Vegas cops. And somehow these guys get the jump on these 2 cops and execute them without they don't get a chance to pull their guns and get off a shot. Okay? Not very likely, but okay. Then the story goes that the Millers, and they go down to Walmart. And when you walk into Walmart and you look at that TV screen and you see yourself on that screen, it's like crystal clear HD. You look at it and say, oh my God, I look terrible. Look how fat I've gotten. Look, I'm so pale. I'm white as a ghost. I need a haircut. You're looking at yourself on this screen. The video surveillance in Walmart is like brutal. But somehow they get into Walmart and they shoot a gun in the air and it says, the revolution has started. And then the story goes that some guy who was a CCW carrier, pulls a gun on them and they shoot him. And then they shoot a cop in there too, and then the 2 of them are executed. So police come out with their official story and they show this grainy black and white footage from the moon landing. Okay, this is them in Cici's Pizza. And not in Cici's Pizza, this is them in Walmart. And somehow the cops immediately had gotten this SWAT tank to the back door at the Walmart, and they were able to block off this door where their exit was. The story is just so bizarre and unbelievable. So I did so many, and I was the toast of the town when telling that story all over the place, on every station except the station that was hosting my show. Okay, when I talked to the owner of that station, I says, hey, I need a block of time to talk about this situation. He goes, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to bed early. I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about that, about Bundy Ranch. And that guy was up to his neck in Bundy Ranch nonsense. Turns out later on that it was suicide. The cops shot him. The story went back and forth a couple of times. What I think happened was I think the cops went in there and they shot that other guy who was a CCW holder. They didn't shoot him. The cops shot him. That's what the cover-up was. That's what I think happened. So that's the story of the Millers. You could find that in my early days. Plus, I did a ton of interviews about that story. You're not going to hear that anywhere else in the world but the Opera Report. Doug Caddy. I think I mentioned Doug Caddy a bit last week, but I didn't mention that Doug Caddy was a fascinating guy. He had never done a show before me. He had done some cable access TV show before he did my show. And even my first interview with him, he thought I screwed up. It was supposed to be, I told him it was the next day. I told him it was Saturday, but it was a Friday. But he did it for me anyway, live, just off the cuff there. And now he's all over the place. He does these seminars and stuff like that. But he actually shared an office with E. Howard Hunt on the day of the Kennedy assassination. Okay. And there's a story about that, too. He also co-wrote a book with Robert Merritt, who was an informant for, I forget the guy's name, that sheriff was sitting out in front of the Watergate Hotel, and he was an informant for him. I got an exclusive interview with him, too. So that's the Doug Caddy stuff. Doug Caddy, his roommate was involved in Koreagate. Doug Caddy's been involved in everything, man. Okay. He knew Stone. He knew Manafort. He knew all the guys around the Kennedy station. Guy Bannister. He knows all those guys. Interesting guy, to say the least. I should probably have him come back, see what he has to say these days. He probably knows that guy Liebengood's father. Liebengood, the cop who committed suicide the day after the January 6th insurrection, right? You know, his father was a sergeant of arms. Then he quit the Senate, and he went to work as a lobbyist with Stone and Manafort. And the company he founded, when you see the tents on January 6th with the big screen TVs, and Trump, they're all watching the screens, and Trump's there, and Guilfoyle, Kimberly Guilfoyle is there, and Don Jr. is there, and they're saying, fight, 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 fight. And they're so excited and happy about what's going to happen on January 6th. That tent and that event is run by the company that was founded by Liebengood's father. No one talks about that. Go, you'll find it, by the way, if you look on Wikipedia. You can confirm it. But nobody talks about that but Ed Opperman. Nobody talks about that but Ed Opperman. John Wayne Gacy. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but John Wayne Gacy. I got wind that there was a victim underneath John Wayne Gacy's house, and the mother didn't believe that was her son. The person they identified as being a victim underneath that house, she says, I don't think that's really my son. I want to have a DNA test, and let's do DNA. And she had a lawyer who was suing to get this DNA test done, and they exhumed the body or whatever. And I kept contacting him, 6 months, every 6 months. Hey, man, come on the show to tell this story. It's a great story. Oh, I can't do it right now. We got a case coming up. We got this, court date coming up on this. I can't talk about it right now. But after that, so finally he says, "Hey, talk to this private investigator, Dorsch." Okay, he knows the story well. He worked on this. He works with the mother and all this kind of stuff like that. So I call up Dorsch. The first thing Dorsch says, "Oh yeah, that lawyer sucks." But Dorsch wasn't a big media guy doing a lot of interviews all over the place. Now he's got a book and he's doing TV series and stuff like that. So I bring him on the show, and he talks about how, there's another location where there's bodies buried. I think it was called the Miami Boulevard or something like that, where Gacy had done some landscaping work, and he had seen with his own eyes these 6-foot deep trenches that Gacy was digging there. And he went to the cops and says, "Hey, man, I bet you there's bodies over there." Then he went and got this ground-penetrating radar company to go there, and they found anomalies where they found bodies under there. They're convinced there's bodies under there. So the cop says, "Okay, you can go dig there, but not at those spots where you think the bodies are. Everywhere else you can dig, but not those spots." Okay? That's what happened, man. I got a letter from the company. Dorsch gave me a letter from the ground-penetrating radar company saying, "We know where the bodies are. The cops won't let us dig there." What a cover-up in that case. It's insane. But shortly after my first interview with Dorsch, I did another 3 hours with him more recently that he's written this book. But at the time, when I did the interview with Dorsch, a listener sends me a photograph. And he goes, "Hey, Ed, look at this. This is a picture of the young man that they say was buried underneath Gacy's house. And this is a picture, the same kid, the same young man, he's about 3 years older, the same mole on his cheek, the same hair, the same kid, but older. This is a picture that was found at Rodney Akala's house, the dating game killer. Rodney Akala, who was a film student of Roman Polanski, who had a 2-bedroom apartment with his mother, would lure these people back to that apartment, rape them, torture them, and kill them in that apartment right in front of his mother. Mother didn't serve a day in jail. Okay, one of the bodies he dumped off in front of Marlon Brando's house. Marlon Brando was neighbors with Warren Beatty and Robert Evans and Michael Jackson. No, was it Michael Jackson? Warren Beatty, Michael Evans, and Jack Nicholson. Michael Jackson's in that mix somehow. I forget how. Marlon Brando. Anyway, so Rodney Akala dumps off one of the bodies with the woman's vagina directly pointed at Marlon Brando's front door. Okay. So that's some stuff you're not going to hear anywhere else. Exclusive to the Opperman Report. 11 years, man. I don't know if I told you this last week or not, but the whole story about when Trump, by Keith Schiller, I did some work with Keith Schiller, Trump's chief of security. By the way, it turns out later on I have some information that P. Diddy hired off-duty cops from Keith Schiller, too. Keith Schiller used to run this company with all these off-duty cops for the Fisher Foundation. I think I did tell that story last week. But what I might not have told is that it was on, I think it was October 19th, the debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on the Intrepid Museum. When Trump brought out all those women that were not Epstein victims, but Bill Clinton rape victims, and I've interviewed all of them. I know them all. Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broaddrick, Paula Jones. I know them all. And I was contacted by someone who worked for Roger Stone trying to find Kathy O'Brien's phone number. So I sent them the contact information for Kathy O'Brien, although I said I think she's full of it, you know. But then I said, hey, listen, you know, pass along all the shows I've done about the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation and all that stuff, all the Oppo research I've done on the Clintons. And when you know it, man, about a month later, I'm watching one of Trump's speeches. He went right down the line in the same order I sent those YouTube videos to this guy talking about the Clintons and her shenanigans. Okay, so how about this? Johnny Depp. I interviewed private investigator Paul Baresi, who's had by the way, that's an exclusive interview too. He's only done one other interview recently. But he's really never done a radio interview before, but did some magazine article interviews that he wasn't happy with. So I interviewed Paul Baresi, and he starts talking about, oh, yeah, I'm working for Amber Heard and this Johnny Depp lawsuit. And I said, I don't care. I want to talk about your stuff with this famous stuff, you know, because this guy was a gay porn producer who was in gay porn, and he dated John Travolta. He dated Paul Lynde, and Paul Lynde's ex-boyfriend fell out a window. And then another time, Paul Baresi was working for Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy got into this controversy where he was mixed up with these transvestites, and one of the transvestites fell off a fire escape. When Paul Baresi was paying off all those transvestites and getting them to take polygraphs and getting them to change their story, one of them falls out of a window. Just like his boyfriend's ex-boyfriend falls out of a window. And I've never re-listened to that show, but some people have listened to it, and they kind of interpreted it as Paul Baresi confessing to throwing that guy out of window, the transvestite. I don't know if he did or he didn't. I don't know. But me and Paul Baresi, we became friends off the air. We did some work together. I did a job for him. Kind of got stiffed on that job. Helped out in some other situations to the guy who was freaking driving me crazy. This guy was calling me up every 5 freaking minutes. Okay? You know? And, you know, you talk about my torn bicep, that's because of Paul Baresi. Because I was moving a couch into my house, and my phone rings. I look at the damn phone, and it's Paul Baresi again. So I'm reaching this couch into the house. I'm going to kill Paul Baresi. That's how I tore my bicep that day. And it's kind of a funny story, too. Because Paul Baresi is considered like a dangerous guy. You know, he's works with some really powerful attorneys in Hollywood, you know. He's one of those fixer guys, you know. Like the Donovan with the baseball bat, and, you know, he worked for Pelicano, you know, Wiretap. You know, these guys are up to stuff, man. I better not tell that story, but anyway. Now that I start thinking about it. But it's a funny story. So Paul Baresi comes on the show. He's talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I hadn't even heard of Amber Heard or the Johnny Depp, whatever that was, you know. And I don't want to talk about that. But he was all excited about it. So it turns out that Johnny Depp's attorney listened to that show, and Johnny Depp listened to that show. Not that they, you know, they listen to my show every week, but they heard about the show and they went and listened to it. And Paul Baresi is a very easily agitated guy. He's the kind of guy you can provoke. You can poke at him and get his attention real easy because he has a temper, which I experience. So Johnny Depp's attorney has an article planted in a Hollywood variety type publication where he starts making fun of Paul Baresi's appearance on my show. Okay. And poking at him and calling him ignorant and stuff like that. So Baresi gets triggered. He gets on the phone with the... because he has to confront now Depp's attorney. So somehow along the way, I hope I don't hear from Baresi. Somehow along the way, Baresi now, the next time I hear from Baresi, he's sending me an article saying, "Oh, I was hired by Amber Heard to dig up dirt on Johnny Depp, but I could not find any dirt. All I could find were people saying what a wonderful man he was." Okay. So, he sends me and says, I want to come back on the show and talk about this. But I says, but Paul, you sent me the PI report. I saw the whole report. Oh, Ed, you must have misunderstood me. Oh, okay, Paul. I must have misunderstood. Okay. So he winds up, he claims, he never went to work for Depp's attorneys, but he did resign from Amber Heard's legal team. Okay. Now, I had some other information about Depp that I passed on to Baresi, that I had heard from a listener years and years and years ago about Depp's involvement in the Everglades and the landing strip down there and all kind of stuff, and his rock band and kids of the rock band and all kind of stuff. Okay? And I had passed it on to Baresi to use in his case for Amber Heard against Johnny Depp. Doesn't come out at the trial. But if you Google Paul Baresi, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, private investigator, there's a YouTube interview out there of Paul Baresi. And you got to watch it. Because he starts talking about how he did all this research into Johnny Depp's family. And it was very illuminating. I was illuminated. Illuminated. It was illuminating. Illuminati. Okay. All right, he's hinting around there. He's got some info. You know, and he wants another payday. It's Illuminati stuff, guys. And it's government stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes here. You guys have no idea about it. Let's put it that way. Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell listened to the show. Stephen Hoffenberg comes on the show one day and he says, Ed Opperman, I think that Ghislaine Maxwell is dead. I think she's already dead because no one's heard from her. I'm speaking to her spokesperson from her and nobody knows where she is. Within that week, man, Hoffenberg was bombarded from messages saying, she's not dead. She's not. What are you talking about? She's not dead. So the word got back to Maxwell and through her, this spokesperson, publicist type person she had with her. She wasn't an official spokesperson, but she wasn't. We know for a fact now she was in contact with her. And by the way, her name was Goldman or Goldstein or something like that. And let me tell you something. She had some blog. She was a freelance writer, and she had access to the White House daily press briefings. She had White House press credentials under Donald Trump. Ghislaine Maxwell, spokesperson, had access to the White House every freaking day. Oh, Ed, as soon as Trump found out, he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Don't you understand it? How could he know? He's friends with many people. He's friends with P. Diddy. He's friends with Prince Andrew. He's friends with Jeffrey Epstein. But Ed, he's friends with a lot of people. They doesn't all happen to be pedophiles. John Casablancas, his neighbor Mel Hall, was serving 40 years for molesting the guy they went on a double date with, the girl they went on a double date with. Eh? Oh, Ed. You're silly. You have TDS, Ed. Ed has TDS. He's so confused. Doesn't know what he's doing. O.J. Simpson listened to the show. 44 minutes. We're almost out of time. O.J. Simpson listened to the show. In fact, they tried to drag me into that whole lawsuit about Charlie. There was a setup, and they tried. I was going to be the guy involved in that lawsuit. What they tried to do to me, but I can kind of sense things aren't right. I backed out. But I'm pretty sure OJ knew of me and knew about me prior to that because I had one of his ex-girlfriends that he was abusing. He was battering this young lady who was a spitting image of Nicole Brown Simpson. And she had text messages from OJ when he was in prison. He had a cell phone, contraband cell phone in prison with his same. A lot of guys have cell phones these days. Back then it was a lot less common. Okay, now it's very common. Most of the conversations you have, I better not even get into that. Okay. All right. But there's a lot of cell phones in prison. Let's put it that way. But OJ was so arrogant and so untouchable that he transferred his regular cell phone number to his prison contraband cell phone number. Now just imagine if they catch this phone, okay, on him, all I got to do is do a reverse search of this. The number goes back to O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson's paying the bill on this number. Oh my God. But anyway, that's another thing. A lot of stuff goes on here. Seth Rich. So what happened was with that. The whole Seth Rich story, and it was everybody so badly wants to believe he was the source of the WikiLeaks stuff because of that crap that Julian Assange lied to people about. So, we're putting out a reward. Maybe he's not a source, but maybe he is a source. All that bullshit from that bastard. So Seth Rich, man, I tried to contact some people for an interview that were deep insiders on the Seth Rich story. And they snookered me. They got me. They says, "Oh, Ed, we're working on this case. We want to hire you as a private investigator on this case. Come in and get on a conference call with us. We're going to pay you. What's your retainer, Ed?" Okay. And so they sent me a few bucks. And then I'm in on the call with them. And they basically say to me, "Oh, we don't know anything. There is no, we have no information about Seth Rich." Okay. It's, it's just a hunch we got here, Ed. We think something might be there because it doesn't smell right. And then, but I can't talk about it and come right out and, spill the whole beans on that because client privilege. Hunter Biden laptop, once again, there was a time I knew more about the Hunter Biden laptop than Hunter Biden knew about the chain of custody in that laptop. Did several shows on this with Bradley Birkenfeld. You can find that. My show with Samantha Spiegel, she's involved in that story too because of the whole connection to Dr. Keith Abloh. Had John Kirkawa on the show. Kiraku? How do you pronounce it? It's Kiraku, right? Anyway, I had him on the show. He was involved in that story, too. And all these guys, too. I don't come bring them on the show and say, "Hey, let's talk about the Hunter Biden laptop." I said, "Why, Mr. Birkenfeld, I want to talk about your book." And then I asked him about the laptop because I know the story. He was involved in it. John Kirkawa, the ex-CIA whistleblower. If you listen to that second interview with him, and I start talking about the laptop, he goes, "How do you know this?" How do you know that? How do you know that? And I'm like, "Oh, I've known these guys for years." Anyway, so I kind of sandbagged those two guys. Not sandbagged. I brought them on to talk about their experiences and their knowledge of other topics, but I just had this one question for them. But then other guys like Bradley, Patrick Berge, who examined the laptop at Rudy Giuliani's house. And then shortly after Rudy Giuliani, his house is raided by the FBI. They take all his electronics, his devices, except the Hunter Biden laptop. That they leave behind. Hunter Biden laptop. I'm very proud of that work, man. Another one I'm very proud of, too, is the... there's so much here, man. I might have to do another show next week, or maybe I'll do one during the week. But the Venezuelan coup by the Rudy Giuliani, by Trump's private security, and Rudy Giuliani clients, remember that coup attempt in Venezuela that was put down by angry fishermen? That was run by Trump's private security, a company named Silvercore, and some of Rudy Giuliani's clients that were coke dealers and money launderers in Venezuela. And I forget who else, but my work on my reporting on that, man, I'm very proud of that work. I've replayed that show many times. Very underreported story, and no one can point to that and claim there's any errors in that. My reporting on Al Sharpton, and his work for the FBI and his work for the GOP and splitting, being that kind of split candidate and stuff like that. My reporting on that, I'm very proud of. You're not going to hear that stuff anywhere else. His work with Reagan. He brought the Coretta Scott King to the I think it was the Bush press box there at the convention. Al D'Amato, he was involved with Al D'Amato. He was involved with all these Republicans, man. Roger Stone, he was involved in. Another Lynn Wood, another Star Wars bar Trump election attorney. I had this character on the show, and it was a very stressful day. I just had come back from a custody evaluation. I ran from the custody evaluation to come do my live Friday show, and I was out of breath. I just got there, and I interviewed this guy about Haley Cummings case, the little missing girl, that story there. And the guy's all out of breath and confused, and I thought it was my fault. I thought it was my energy was projecting onto him. Turns out the guy was a total nut, okay? And I regret this guy's his first radio interview. And now he's considered like some authority on this kind of crap. And he wrote some crazy article where he said that Mike Pence is a pedophile. And Lynn Wood, Trump's attorney in this election, stuff like that, quotes that article saying that Mike Pence is a pedophile. A kook that came out of my show that has problems, personal issues, okay? But also, too, was a fugitive at one point, a lot of crazy stuff, man. A lot of crazy stuff goes behind the scenes that you guys have no idea. A lot of these guests, too, they hire me for their personal problems and their life. And then, you say, well, what kind of credibility does this guy have, This guy tried to hire me. He tried to hire me to violate a restraining order he had. Okay? Well, I can't do that. I can't do that. Man, it's crazy. Oh, yeah. I had a whole bunch of guests on the show. There was a documentary in the UK called Is Trump a Sex Pest? Heather Braden and Lori Pilling, I think it was. Her last name was Pilling for sure. Pilling was 17 years old when Trump was hitting on her, and she told him she was underage, and he goes, oh, all the better. And Heather Braden did a lot of work behind the scenes. She gave me a lot of information. By the way, she's seen Trump drinking, and people say he's never touched a drink. She's seen him drinking. And she was a witness, too, to Mnuchin. Mnuchin was on the corporate paperwork for... who's that guy? Jean-Luc Brunel's modeling agency. And he says, oh, my goodness, I don't know how my name could have been on that paperwork as the custodian of... as the... man, I'm out of it tonight. As the registered agent for that company. Oh, my goodness, how could that be? And she says, are you kidding me, man? He was down there perving on the models all the time. Heather Braden was at that party with Epstein and Trump where they had all those just Epstein and Trump and another famous guy and just all women, all models, like 100 models and the three of them. She never told me who the third guy was, not even off the air. But she did tell me some stuff off the air about other members of the Trump family that I've later on confirmed. Because I have a friend of mine that worked for me who's very close friends with members of the Trump family. I've done some great shows explaining socialism and explaining my politics with Alan Woods, who advised Venezuela on socialism, and Professor Richard Wolff, Democracy in the Workplace. And the problem is, man, people, they see, the topic, and they say, I'm not going to listen to that. Oh, you lost me in the first 5 minutes. If you don't listen, you're not going to learn, okay? And then you can't say you disagree with my politics if you don't understand my politics and you don't know what my politics are. It's infuriating. Every single person that ever says to me, Ed, I love your show, we disagree on politics. I guarantee you have no idea what my politics are. I'm anti-fascist, I'm pro-worker, okay? If you're not anti-fascist and pro-worker, then say it. Okay, you're pro-fascist, you're pro-billionaire class, you're pro-1%. You're pro-oppressive landlords and rulers and owners. Oh, God. Oh, boy, here's a good one, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, Malik Obama. I talked to him off the air. He wanted $10,000 to come on the show. God, and he met Liddy Denier, too. She knew Malik Obama when they were trying to... Liddy Denier was Ambassador Stevens' ex-girlfriend, ex-fiancée. And she has this great story she told on the show about when she was a guest at one of the Trump debates, and the Las Vegas Police Department stopped their caravan and wouldn't let them into the debate. What the corruption in that town. Judge Joe Brown. Oh, my God. Judge Joe Brown. He's on. You see him now. He's talking about all this stuff about Kamala Harris. Judge Joe Brown's a creepy guy, fellas, okay? Tried to get him as a guest on the show to talk about his Martin Luther King stuff, okay? There's something with that guy. He's got these creepy people around him demanding money for him to come on the show, man. And, it's just a shady operation with that fellow there. Charles Strange, whose son was on SEAL Team 6 in the Bin Laden raid, who later on died in that helicopter crash. You listen to that fellow. Very sincere man, and he believes that Bin Laden's alive and living in Chicago, or whatever, selling hot dogs or something, the way he put it. Cash Me Outside, that girl from the Dr. Phil show, I had her dad on the show. Poor kid never had a chance. Then her mother threatens to sue me. I got on the phone with her mother's lawyer. And, oh, my God. What? By the way, I was talking to someone who says, oh, my goodness, I got a cease and desist letter from this attorney. I get those all the time. Are you kidding me? Half the time I call up these lawyers, they don't even know what the case is about. They don't even know what the client's complaining about. Oh, God. But a couple of friends of mine that were podcasters got these letters, and they're like terrified. Ed, what do I do? And then they go back to the attorney, and they're apologizing. These elaborate apologies. I'm saying, dude, what are you doing? This guy doesn't even know what you're talking about. I promise you. Okay, he was charged $100 for that letter. He has no idea what your defamation was that his client's complaining about. Now you're laying it all out for him. Ignore it. They're not coming after you for money. And if they do, we'll tie them up. They'll pay you. If someone ever sues me, man, for defamation, I will tie them up. They will pay me to settle. I guarantee you. Sue me. You'll wind up paying me to settle. I told that guy, too, that Twitter guy I had that big fight with. I forget his name. An open secret character, that jerk. Threatens to sue me. Give me a break. Oh, another guy. Get this. This guy I guessed on the show a couple of times, right? Turns out to be, he totally sabotaged me, this character, right? So he had this situation. He was living down there in the Philippines. He was working, as a matter of fact, I found out later on, he was working for the Code Monkey guy down there, the pig farmer down there in the Philippines. He was writing for him, the QAnon guy. First time I have him on the show, I get all these warnings. I say, hey, this guy's all mixed up with QAnon. You know that, right? I says, I don't think so, man. He seems like a good guy. He's kissing my ass. He's on the show. I think he's okay. Then he contacts me. He says, oh, yeah, I'm down here in the Philippines, and I'm paralyzed because I went to this massage parlor, and they did this massage move on me, and now I can't move. I'm paralyzed. I want to sue the massage parlor. It's connected to this hotel. So I kind of dropped the ball. I didn't really give it all the attention I could have. But the thing is, the attorney sent him a letter saying, hey, man, we want to pay you. Just tell us how much you want. Okay, he could have got an easy $50,000 on this, man, but he was so freaking stupid. He starts writing back to the attorney, telling him what his injuries are and what the circumstances of the kid. They just offered, they're saying they want to pay you. Jerk off. You're too stupid to read that. Anyway, so this character here, man, I tell him some stuff off the air privately about Colonel Aquino. Okay, and some contact I was having with this cult, with Balenciaga and all this crap going on. And he runs on Twitter and he tells the whole freaking world about it. Then he was mixed up in that whole big misunderstanding story there. In fact, it was at the core of that freaking thing. Total freaking agent, that character, man. Definitely QAnon type, man. And with that QAnon bunch, there was a bunch of QAnon accounts messing with me that night. And this guy throws me to freaking Aquino. Bastard. You know, and all those characters, man, I blocked it, and not one of them has come back to me and said, Ed, what's the missing? Ed, let's talk about this. Not one of them. They all know they're freaking guilty. I connected that freaking NSA punk and that Kino bunch. And Falcon and the Snowman, I had to, there's a whole good backstory on that too. Listen, I think we're out of time. I hate to leave on that note. 59 minutes, and I want to play some music too. Oh, okay, we'll end off with this. Mark Harris, the gay papa for Trump. Mark Harris he was a gay fellow, and he married Martha Ray, who was like 40 years older than him. And they used to throw these parties with Maury Amsterdam and, that whole bunch that age, Cesar Romero, and Phyllis Diller, all those people you see on the Mike Douglas show when you're 12 years old. And so he used to go on Howard Stern, and he became very popular on Howard Stern. And he wrote this song called "I Am a Gay Papa." So it turns out he was living in Vegas too, and I was living in Vegas. So I dig him up. I said, "Come on the show. Let's talk about your Howard Stern days, what you're doing now." He comes on the show. Let's talk about how he's fighting with his roommate over a bottle of Percocet. And so a lot of gay guys fall in love with me. Okay. I don't know why. I'm totally straight, but I seem to have this kind of father figure, daddy thing for these guys. As a matter of fact, one of these guys who was involved in that stunt too, with the big misunderstanding, the guy was acting really weird. Yeah, he was a guest on the show too. What was it? We Know the Document, something like that. So this character, right? He starts following me on Twitter or Facebook. Every time I write a comment, this guy wants to turn the comment about him. Okay? So finally I says, "Hey, look, man, this guy's a freaking weirdo, man. This guy's obsessed with me. I'm blocking him." He sends me this email. "Ed, brother, I love you. I love you, brother. Don't block me. Please let me come back. Please, please. I love you, brother. I love you, brother." Okay, says, "Oh, my God." Okay, so I unblock him. Right. Then I get invited as a guest on this show. Some people I never heard of. And he's a co-guest there with me. Like we're partners or we're buddies or something like that. He totally set the whole freaking thing up. Then there was some other weird shit with this. He was just such a weird guy, man. He was so freaking weird. But he was like a creepy, in love with me guy. So Mark Harris falls in love with me. I hate to admit. But he kind of falls in love with me off the air. And he's emailing me, "Oh, Ed." And I mentioned to him that I was going to the Trump debate. I had tickets for the Trump debate in Las Vegas there. "Ed, bring me as your guest." I want to be your date for this day. "Okay, Mark, I'll get back to you." I'll let you know, man. But the problem with Mark Harris was, and then, listen, I'm entertained by this kind of stuff. And look at me. You've listened to me for an hour. I'm entertained by a lot of these crazy people and a lot of their nonsense, their weirdo-ness. Even these weirdos with the QAnon stuff, Until Mark Harris, man, just started posting so much racist stuff, man, and making these racist, horrible comments and stuff. And by the way, reporting back to the Trump campaign things that I was saying. Like he was ratting me out at the same time. Here is my potential lover, okay, my next wife here, Mark Harris. I could have been the next Martha Ray for Mark Harris. And he's ratting me out to the Trump campaign. Oh, he's got and he did. He knew people at Trump Tower, man. He could call up on the phone and get word back. I guess he knew Trump through the Howard Stern show or something like that, man. But we're going to leave off on that. And I guess either I'll do another one because I got so many more notes here. And these notes here aren't even all the notes. This is just from my memory for the past couple of days. I've been so sick this week. So we're going to leave off the show now. And after this coming up will be Janet Phelan talking about her CIA injunction and about this thing about the pipes and the piping the water supply. And then we'll have our fellow there, Mr. Fishman, Adam Fishman, about the RFK Jr. Interview there. Guys, thank you so much. Also, too, I got to tell you, we had a really good month on Patreon. I can't thank you enough. I'm going to be giving you some gold, some really good gifts, like in the $20 section in Patreon. So if you're in Patreon now and you want to support the show, if you want to increase your stuff there, your subscription, great. There is a $50 option, People that have been with me for 10 years, $50, a lot of you can afford it. I kind of see. I'm not that I'm doing asset searches on my listeners, okay, but I could. Okay. And who knows? Maybe we could start a class action litigation against all the listeners for driving me crazy over the years. Okay? Maybe I should look into that. That would be the first, right? Maybe. All right, guys, I love you. But then check out our Patreon. $3 a month is 10 cents a day, man. You get access to 1,400 hours of stuff, dude. Plus documents and a lot of stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else in the world.
I'm a gay papa, behaving so luxurious, watching my kids. I'm generous as well. I'm a gay papa, I'm funny and enjoyable. Sometimes I'm down, my children never know. So many gays, my parties were so colorful. Neighbors complain, they're jealous and insane. I'm a gay papa, and better than some straight fathers, traveling around and taking all my kids. When they were young, I dressed them up in frilly clothes. Those were the boys, 'cause I mixed up all the toys. My girls are the ones who love me and they fight for me. The boys to defend the right for me being gay. I'm a gay papa. I'm a gay papa.
Jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now. I told him once or twice to quit playing cards and shooting dice. He's in the jailhouse now. I had a friend named Ramblin' Bob who used to steal, gamble, and rob. He thought he was the smartest guy around. I found out last Monday Bob got locked up Sunday. They've got him in the jailhouse way downtown. He's in the jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now. I told him once or twice to quit playing cards and shooting dice. He's in the jailhouse now. Oh, Steve. I went out last Tuesday, met a girl named Susie. I told her I was the smartest guy around. We started to spend my money, then she started to call me honey. We took in every honky-tonk in town. We're in the jailhouse now. We're in the jailhouse now. I told the judge right to his face, we didn't like to see this place. We're in the jailhouse now.